Just hit a button, Morty. Give me a beat.
Oh man, okay, all right,
To the second video of body systems. I'm talking a little quiet because the software messed up and I recorded my video twice during lunch and it deleted. So I'm trying to record it again during class so I can go home after school. Okay. So let's go ahead and get into it. So we have Unit 2, Body System Interactions. So the last lesson, hopefully you completed your virtual notebook and you learned that information because you're going to need it for today's lesson and then for the next lesson. Okay, so the warm-up is, what do you think is the most important organ in the human body, and why is that organ what you chose? So for me, I would have to say either the heart or maybe the lungs. I like both of them because, one, the lungs actually gets the oxygen into your body, but then the heart takes that oxygen and pumps it to the rest of your body. So that's my favorite one. So again, humans and other complex multicellular organisms have systems of organs that work together, carrying out these processes that keep us alive. So complex multicellular organisms includes plants. Remember that. Plants also have body systems. So like I said, we have yesterday, today, and then tomorrow. So we have 3 body systems lessons on animals, and then we're going to have 3 body system lessons on plants after that. Then we'll have a test. Okay, so the body has levels of organization that actually build on each other. So cells at the lowest level, and cells are going to make up tissues. Okay, then a bunch of tissues are going to make up organs, and a bunch of organs are going to work together to make up an organ system. So make sure that you know that. The function of the organ system is going to depend on the shared function of its organs. So for example, the digestive system, the stomach, intestine, esophagus, spleen, all of those things, they all work together to process food. The survival of the organism is going to depend on the interactions, keyword here being interactions, between all of the organ systems. Okay, no one organ system can do it on its own. They all have to work together in order for the organism to survive, right? Like we have to have a circulatory system. We have to have a muscular system. We have to have a respiratory system. No one system can do it on its own. Okay, because there's so much that goes on in your body. Just look at this right here. Within 24 hours, your heart beats over 100,000 times. You breathe in and out about 23,000 times. There's just so much going on in your body that one system isn't able to do everything. They have to interact. They have to work together. Okay? They work together to maintain this thing that's called homeostasis. So homeostasis is kind of like, it isn't kind of like, it is how your body stays balanced, how your body stays within normal ranges. So what is your body temperature on a normal day? Like when you're sitting down right now, what is your body temperature? Exactly, it's about 98.5, 98.4. Okay, what is your body temperature when it's really, really, really freezing outside? Still about 98.5. How about when it's really hot outside? If you're in the middle of a desert, what is your body temperature usually? Still around 98.5. So even when the outside environment is changing, there's lots of changes going on, your internal body systems are going to still stay the same. How does that happen? Well, it's this thing that's called homeostasis, okay? Basically, within your body, let me get some demonstrations. Within your body, everything has a range, right? So if you go above a certain percentage or a certain concentration, bad things will happen. If you drop below a certain concentration, bad things will happen. Bad things being sickness or death. Okay? So your temperature has to stay around 98.5. It can go up maybe a couple degrees and go down maybe a couple degrees, but it can't drop or raise too much, right? Because like I said, once you get outside of that range, you're out of homeostasis, the organism can die. Okay, so we want to make sure that we stay within those ranges, and that's what homeostasis does. So homeostasis is a balancing act. It is how your internal body processes are going to stay balanced. So it's not just for temperature, right? I gave you the example of temperature, how if it's cold outside, your body is the same temperature, but if it's hot outside, your body is still the same temperature. It's also for other things. There's things like blood ion concentration has to be between these two numbers. If it goes too high or too low, the organism has to fight to get back into homeostasis. With the stomach pH, if there's too much acid or too much base in the stomach, then that can cause problems with the organism. Same thing with blood sugar levels. If blood sugar is too high, that's diabetes. If it's too low, that's another condition. You go into a coma. Okay, so homeostasis again is what keeps those things in balance because it's very important. Your body is very, very particular. It's very specific. Okay, it's very specific about what it needs. Okay, so again, this is what an organism might be. See how it's perfectly balanced. Everything is normal. Let's say if there's some sort of environmental challenge, some sort of change, some sort of environmental challenge. Okay, that shifts this baseline. It shifts it. Okay, so the organism has to then balance in some way to try and avoid dying. If it's not able to balance, then see if the system cannot. Sorry, guys. The bell rang. I had to go say bye to my class. But yeah, homeostasis keeps everything in balance, right? So if there, that's all I'm saying. Move on to the next thing. Homeostasis, again, I'm drilling this concept because it's very important. Okay, you need to know that homeostasis is going to be that regulation and maintenance of the internal environment of the body. Okay? Okay? So homeostasis means that our bodies are going to maintain certain, again, there's certain parameters and backwards, certain parameters. Okay? But then if you're inside of those, that limit, you're good. Once the organism is going outside of those limits, that's when we start to have problems and homeostasis needs to bring it back, okay? So here's an example of what that looks like. Let's say this right here is a normal body temperature. If the body temperature falls for whatever reason, then blood vessels are going to actually constrict, okay? When they constrict, the heat is going to be conserved within the body, and that is going to raise the body temperature. However, the opposite happens if the body temperature is too high. If the body temperature is too high, blood vessels are going to dilate, they're going to get bigger, and as they get bigger, they're actually going to release heat to the environment, which allows the body to cool off, to come back to normal. Okay, so that's what homeostasis is. Homeostasis is if the body, for some reason, gets out of balance, it's going to come right back. Okay, if it gets out of balance, it's going to come right back. That's what homeostasis is, that internal maintenance. So what do you think would happen if your body couldn't adjust with the environment in order to stay balanced? What do you think might happen? So, for example, without homeostasis, could organisms potentially overheat on a hot day and possibly die? Yeah. Without homeostasis, lots of things would not be able to happen. Waste wouldn't get removed, nutrients wouldn't be delivered, oxygen wouldn't be received, the body temperatures would be all abnormal and out of whack. Does that sound like something good for the organism? No, because without homeostasis, nothing can survive, right? Because we know that ecosystems and environments are always changing, right? So we have to have a way of changing to get back to normal. So through homeostasis, we have these different functions that we can do as organisms. We can regulate our temperature, we can grow, absorb nutrients, or do gas exchange, such as breathing, okay? So homeostasis is very, very, very important, okay? Very important. So let's quickly review the body systems. All right, so hopefully you finished your virtual notebook, but if you did not, here's the information again. So circulatory system is going to be the blood system. So it's going to actually, your blood's function is to transport things around the body. It transports oxygen, it can transport carbon dioxide, it can transport salt, sugars, all of those things. It transports it around the body to the various cells of the body. The circulatory system, of course, as it's bringing things, it's also bringing nutrients. So there's some keywords for that. The respiratory system's main keywords are going to be breathing, right? Gas exchange, breathe in oxygen, breathe out CO2. Okay. Another key word for that is going to be gets oxygen from the atmosphere into the lungs. Okay. Next system, digestive system. So this one's pretty easy, but I'll go over it anyways. That's when we break down food, so eating and chewing. Digestive system. Okay, the muscular system is for movement of things. Okay, notice that circulatory is transport, while muscular is movement. Okay, those are different. Okay, transporting nutrients around the body versus actually moving things, running, or food moving through the digestive system. Okay, that's muscles that do that. The nervous system, so the brain, spinal cord, neuron, and nerves is going to be the nervous system. Okay, the job of the nervous system is to control the rest of the body using electrical signals, right? All of our decisions start in our brain, and our brain tells everything else what to do. Okay, it's the control center. We have the skeletal system. The skeletal system's job, if you did not know why bones are so hard and rigid, is because they're supposed to protect your internal organs. Your heart is very soft. Your lungs are very soft. That's why we have ribs to protect them. That's why we have this sternum bone right here to protect our trachea, our windpipe. Right? The job of the skeleton is to protect the internal organs, but it also gives structure to our bodies, right? So depending on how your skull is shaped, it gives you a different face shape. You can have maybe a square skull, it gives you a square face, a heart-shaped, a diamond, okay? It gives structure to the body. The one thing that students often forget about the skeletal system, why bones are so important, is that they actually produce red blood cells in what's called the bone marrow. That's where red blood cells are produced. So something very important to always know. Red blood cells are produced where? Exactly, in the skeleton. Next up, we have the endocrine system. The endocrine system is going to be the system of glands. And so all of those glands produce hormones. Okay? And if you did not know what hormones are, they're basically chemical signals. They're a way of modifying and controlling the body. So for example, during puberty, organisms will, or puberty, or I don't know what it's called in other animals, but basically hormone glands start producing certain hormones that cause certain changes in characteristics. So men might get an Adam's apple and a deep voice, while women might get wider hips. Just depends, okay? So that's actually done by hormones, and hormones are produced by glands. Okay, they're chemicals. The reproductive system is, of course, how organisms make babies or offspring. Same thing, same thing. That goes the ovaries, the testes, the ovum, the sperm, the egg, and anything having to do with pregnancy, so the uterus, fallopian tubes, those things. While the immune system is going to protect your body from pathogens and diseases. The lymphatic system is kind of that fluid part of the immune system. It's going to be your lymph nodes, sinus drainage, that's all the lymphatic system. All these little ducts that are found throughout you. Okay, that's where fluid drains. The integumentary, so don't be afraid of this word. Integumentary, okay? Just break it down. Integumentary. It's going to be your hair, your skin, and your nails, okay? That's a protective layer of your body. Oftentimes you don't think of your skin as protective, but it really is. It's the one thing that stands between you and the rest of the world is your skin. It's your protective layer of your body. It's the barrier between you and the outside world. And you can see on this picture that your skin is actually many, many, many layers thick. I think it's about 5 or 6 layers thick, okay? And each layer is another protective layer. It's a barrier between you and the outside world. Excretion is going to be waste, producing waste of some sort. So that's going to be urine and sweat are going to be the main 2 examples of that. So it's liquid waste, so sweat and urine. The main organs are going to be, of course, the kidney, the ureter, the urinary bladder, and of course the kidney. So let's go ahead and practice some things together. Let's practice identifying what a system looks like and what it does. So this right here, look at this picture. What system is this? Now, what function does that system have? Okay, and then what are those organs? What is that organ called? Exactly. Okay, how about this one? What system? The function is, and the organ? Exactly, okay? Let's keep going. This right here is the muscular system. Its job is to do movement, and the name of that muscle is the biceps. So in today's virtual notebook, what you're doing is you're looking at a scenario of some sort. You're going to read a scenario, and then what you're going to do is you're going to respond to it by telling me what organ system is involved, how do you know, And what is another organ system that is involved, and how do you know? So we're looking at the interaction. So yesterday was just, our last lesson was just the basics, and now this lesson we're going to step it up. We're going to look at interactions. How do they work together to help us survive? So when you're eating food, what are some systems that you think are involved in eating food? Exactly. So the muscular system, if you said muscles, is for chewing food, right? You have jaw muscles. The digestive system helps you to break down food chemically. And of course, the muscular system pushes food along the intestines. You might have also maybe said skeletal because of teeth. Okay. So this was actually a STAR question from a couple of years ago. So this is why I say you need to know that muscular contractions push food along the digestive tract. So make sure that you do know that. As it gets squeezed through the stomach and everything is through muscular contractions. Okay. What systems are going to be major players when you go swimming? Okay. So if you said respiratory because you hold breath, true. You said circulatory because circulatory has to transfer oxygen from the lungs to all the different cells of the body. Also true. And of course, muscular because you're swimming, you're moving, you're using your muscles, you're using your legs and arm muscles. Exactly. So any of those things. There are more things you could have said as well. You have a question? Right. So what systems are going to be major players when you get an open wound? So some sort of cut. What systems are involved in that? So of course, the integumentary system. If the skin is broken, that's the integumentary system. It's being cut. The immune system is going to pull up. It's going to show up. The white blood cells and all of that are going to show up because they're going to want to make sure that there's no infection there. If there is going to be an infection, that they're going to go ahead and try and kill it off before it begins. The circulatory system, of course, is going to bring blood and platelets, and again, white blood cells. Is going to transport all of that from where they're stored to the active site of the wound. Okay. So the circulatory system transports them from their storage site, wherever they are in the body, and brings it to wherever that cut is. Okay, how about this one? What systems are going to be major players when a dog runs around at the dog park? Of course, muscular because there's movement. Of course, circulatory because circulatory is, going to bring oxygen to the muscles. And respiratory, the dog has to breathe fresh oxygen. Okay, now one thing that I was noticing when I was grading tests and quizzes and stuff is that there are people who kind of know the information, but I feel like their test taking skills just aren't up to par. So let's practice together. So first thing to do whenever you see a STAR question or really any question in any class ever is to read the question fully through. Okay, so we'll read it together. Crataeus garrulus is a blue bird with an orange-brown back. The offspring of this bird have an effective defense mechanism. The young birds actually vomit and cover themselves in a foul-smelling orange liquid whenever they sense a threat by predators. Which two systems alert the young bird to the danger and help produce the vomit it uses as a defense? Okay. The second thing to do whenever you're doing a STAR question or a test or a quiz or something is to look for the question mark and then read the whole question again. So which two systems? So it's asking me for two systems, okay? And so I also can tell that because in every single answer choice, there's two systems. So I know I'm looking for two systems, okay? It's going to say alert the young bird and help produce. So alert the young bird is one thing, and help produce the vomit is another thing, right? I'm looking for two systems, and those are two things in the question that it's asking me for. So what system helps an organism to stay alert? To alert, for them to look at something, for them to respond to something. It's going to be the nervous system. Of course, the brain and the spinal cord are going to be alerted. How about producing vomit? Digestive system. So I'm looking for an answer choice that has nervous and has digestive. So I see that in A. Okay, to be safe, I'm going to look at the rest of them. No, it's none of those. It's definitely this right here. So it's definitely A. Okay, so that's the best way to do these types of problems. And so on the next lesson's virtual notebook, you're actually going to practice identifying keywords and then answering a question, okay? But like I said, for the rest of class today, for today's virtual notebook, you're going to have a scenario of some sort. I'm going to ask you what systems are involved, and you're going to give me two of them. Okay? You're going to give me one and tell me how you know that, and give me another one and tell me how you know that. Just like how earlier in the slides I said stuff like muscular because it said movement. Alert. I know that it's nervous system because it says alert. That's all you're doing. You're just giving me a quick little thing that tells me how you know, either from the definition of the system or from the problem itself. So let's do this one together. Your friend's dad has a high stress job and has high blood pressure as a result. This causes his arteries to stretch too much, leaving them vulnerable to damage. What systems are involved? So we're talking about something that is highly stressful. Highly stressful. So I'm going to put highly stressful right here. That's my evidence. And I think my stressful system, my system that responds to stress, I would say is my nervous system. I'm going to say nervous system, and then I'm going to put high stress job. Okay? Then if the problem says the word arteries, so I'm going to say arteries right here, and arteries tells me that is the circulatory system, right? Arteries are a type of blood vessel. So you see how simple it is. If you're not writing whole paragraphs or anything like that, you're just using evidence from the text to answer the question. Okay, so 50% of your grade is actually giving you the scenarios, and the other 50% is actually giving you the evidence. So if you just say the scenarios with no evidence, what grade are you going to get? A 50 and you have to redo it. Okay, so that's all for that. Go ahead and get started.